Hello, welcome, and sorry. Welcome to another Friday live stream, Maple Bitcoin, your favorite three Canadian Bitcoiners here. I'm Jor. I'm joined by Rajat and Forrest. This one's titled Bitcoin is Rippin' While Powell is Trippin'. And what's your title, Rajat?
Mine is Jerome Powell just confirmed that Bitcoin is about to rip.
Oh, and it is. You don't have to trust us. You can look at the fiat price of Bitcoin right now. So we got a good show in store, folks. We're going to start with Jay Powell. We're going to talk about some macro stuff within Bitcoin. We'll get to some questions later in the chat. But before we do, we want to make sure everybody here is subscribed to our Maple Bitcoin channel. We each have our own 88 Sats Radio, Rajat's channel, and Bitcoin Not Crypto. So if you're watching on one of those, we encourage you to head over to the Maple Bitcoin channel, subscribe. We're going to be putting a bunch of new content on there, which will not be available on our individual channels. So Rajat just shared the link there, and I will as well. So with that in mind, make sure you head over there. Oh, I guess I can copy it right from the private chat here. And on your way in, make sure you press the like button, help this get in front of more people and help us grow the adoption of Bitcoin. That's what we're all here for. We're all on Team Bitcoin. So let's get started, boys. I've been a little bit out of the loop today. What's been going on with our boy, Jay Powell?
Yeah, I don't think anything's been confirmed, but a lot of people, I mean, they read so much into the way he talks, into the nuance. Like, you know, there's people even pay attention to what color tie Jay Powell wears during these meetings. And they say, like, you know, a purple tie means this or whatever, right? But basically, the language was that around the idea of being dovish, which is basically that they're going to start cutting rates. Like they're not they're not as concerned. They didn't show as much concern about the 2% inflation rate. They kind of are saying like, we want to just keep prices steady and employment steady. And we're going to do what we need to do that. And that basically means that rate cuts are on the table. And the next one being September 16th, 17th. And last time rates were cut, Bitcoin went absolutely insane because it signals that money is getting cheaper. There are some nuances with that too, which I'd like to get into, but that's basically the gist of the Jackson Hole speech from Jerome Powell today.
I think he said something along the lines of the current market warrants rate cuts. Was that what it was?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Something along the lines of that. Yeah. And I think
I don't remember exactly what he said, but
yeah.
I heard the speech and he said something along those lines. But I think it's bullish no matter how you look at it, right? Even if they don't have rate cuts, then that's bullish for Bitcoin too, because it means that stocks need to be discounted more, and the value is really lower because if interest rates go up, then stocks need to be. But Bitcoin doesn't really have a discount rate because it doesn't have cash flows. It's just the purchasing power compared to US dollars. So regardless of what happens, even if there isn't, I think now that I think about it, my title is a little bit clickbait, but that wasn't my point. I think regardless of what happens, there is going to be a much higher price for Bitcoin. It's going to rip regardless.
Yeah, and we can see that because interest rates have gone up this entire bull run of Bitcoin. Like, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, we haven't hit the bull run yet. But I mean, we bottomed in 2020, end of 2022, and it's been stair-stepping up this entire time while interest rates have been high and going up. And so that's counter to what people think usually. Like people think that Bitcoin is sort of this low interest rate phenomenon where easy money, lots of money printing will create this, you know, the trade of holding Bitcoin because it's, you know, because it doesn't have inflation like the US dollar does. But Bitcoin doesn't really care about that. We've seen that in this entire bull run, right? Like money is still getting printed even with higher interest rates. They have all these other ways of adding liquidity into the system. they tried a little bit. Like if you look at M2, they tried to like pull a little bit of money out of the system and try to like you know, counteract all the money printing they did during the lockdowns, and just it was like nothing. It's like a tiny little blip in M2, right? They're back to money printing. They have no choice. It doesn't really matter what the interest rates are. Like the interest rates will accelerate things. Like they'll change and accelerate the trajectory, but there's only one way, right? Nothing stops this train is the meme for a reason. Like there's only one way the train can go down the tracks, and it's going towards fiat debasement, and it's just inevitable. It doesn't matter what the interest rates are. Just like cutting the interest rates is just going to add more fuel to the engine of the train. That's all it's going to do.
Yeah, the dollar is going to die regardless. What are your thoughts on this, Jor? I feel like you've been hiding out back there for a while. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I heard Forrest say that some people are saying that the bull run hasn't even started. That's the camp that I'm in right now. And this is kind of a realization I had within the last week. I think it was Tour, one of my favorite OG Bitcoiners out there, Tour Demeester or whatever his name is. Love him. But he made a really good point saying that Bitcoin itself is at about the same conversion rate in real terms, in terms of gold, as it was in 2021.
Wow.
Which to me suggests that the only thing that's happened from 2021, what was the price back then? Like 60K, the all-time high?
60K.
It's doubled since then, fiat terms, but the only thing that's actually pushed up the fiat price is more money printing, which is a little bit, to me, it demonstrates how high this is going to go this cycle, because if we haven't even started yet in terms of real demand driving the price and the purchasing power up, that's a whole different ballgame. People are already thinking about bear markets at this point. It's like when you look at it in gold terms, we're at the exact same levels we were in 2021. And that is so incredibly bullish to me based on everything that's happening right now, a different administration, all this demand for it. Every day there's a new public company adding Bitcoin. It's crazy. And so it just blows my mind, the fact that regardless of what Jay Powell says, we're going to rip hard.
So you're saying denominate Bitcoin's price in gold is a better way to look at it.
It was 36 ounces for one Bitcoin back in 2021, and it's 35 or 36 today, which means that in real terms, Bitcoin hasn't even gone up since 2021, which was before Wall Street, before everything we've seen here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking about something today. So along with what you were saying there, Jor, the bull market hasn't really started yet. I think that Bitcoin should have hit six figures last cycle.
Yeah.
Because with FTX kind of killing the momentum, and they admitted what they were doing. They created paper Bitcoin and they dumped it on the market. They wanted to keep the price below 20K. So they were doing whatever they could, and Bitcoin still went to 70K. Right. And I don't know, maybe there is paper Bitcoin this time, but I mean, if you think about it, with how Bitcoin should have been at six figures last cycle, maybe it is going to touch seven figures this cycle, right? Because it adds a zero every cycle. Last cycle was kind of fake, but I don't know, maybe the demand will pull it up to that seven-figure level, but who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think that the main takeaway from me with that is, like, it's crazy how much has changed since 2021. And the only thing that's really moved the price of Bitcoin up is just more money in the system.
Yeah.
And when we think about interest rates going up and down, like, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, do you guys want to, because it actually took me a long time to figure out myself and kind of comprehend why lower interest rates means that more is going to flow into Bitcoin and drive the price of Bitcoin up. Do anybody want to take a swing at that, just for people on the left side of the bell curve like me?
Yeah, of course. So the way that I see it, if you have lower interest rates, there's less of a risk to borrow money and buy speculative assets. Most people still think of Bitcoin as a speculative asset. They see stocks as, technically they are, right? Because when you look at it in terms of dollars, Bitcoin is speculative. But when you look at it in terms of real world goods, then Bitcoin is not speculative. So in this system, we denominate everything in dollars, meaning that if interest rates go down, more people have an incentive to buy Bitcoin. The hurdle rate that Bitcoin has to achieve decreases, meaning that more people are willing to put their money into Bitcoin. And as more people put their money into Bitcoin, as more money finds its way into Bitcoin, the price goes up and more people are triggered to buy even more Bitcoin. And it's a spiral, and it goes out of control. That's where we have those blow off tops, right? Where retail investors start taking out their line of credit and they borrow as much as they can. And then they start borrowing against their Bitcoin because they think that this thing is going up forever. That's when we have those blow off tops where the price goes to like 10 times what you expect it to, but then it drops 80%. Like that price at the top that was fueled by debt, it isn't real. And then if you see the other side of things, let's say when interest rates go up, it makes people want to sell their risky assets to pay off their debt. And then the price decreases a lot more than you would expect it to, right? So let's say 15K. I don't think Bitcoin's price should have gone down to 15K last cycle, 2022. I think that it should have probably, I mean, if you just, I guess this is where the power law comes in. Like if you look at the fair value is the real price. And then there's all these overreactions of either selling or buying. And that's what leads to the blow off tops and then the just the meltdowns.
Yeah. And the interest rate, basically, like the Fed interest rate determines the cost of money, and it corresponds to what the interest rates are that banks and debt issuers will lend at. And there's businesses and people all around the world that denominate their debt in US dollars. So what the Fed does, the US Fed does, is matters a lot to them. So if the interest rates come down, it incentivizes them to take out more debt. And it's not just Bitcoin that reacts to this, right? Bitcoin has a large correlation to global M2, like it's like 88% correlated or something. And when debt is created, that's more money being created out of thin air, right? That's what these member banks can do, is just generate money out of thin air. So some of that will flow into Bitcoin, but it just basically will flow into assets in general. And Bitcoin is just the one that takes advantage of that flow of money the most. So that's essentially like why rate cuts are bullish for Bitcoin. Now, there is a caveat to this, or like a counterpoint that I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on, which is that oftentimes when rate cuts happen, it's actually because, well, the Fed uses data that's like outdated by the time they're using it, right? Like if you look at trueflation, like inflation's come down way more than the CPI and all this kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of people saying, oh, they should have cut months and months and months ago. And typically in history, and you might think this might be on purpose, right? But they cut a little bit too late in their cycle, which they cut at a point when the economy is actually in trouble. And if you correspond when they've cut and when there's corrections in the market or when there's trouble in the economy, usually cutting actually signals downturns, and then it recovers from there. But it's because they're cutting too late. Which is just they're cutting because basically something is broken within the system,
right?
Which, is that the case this time? I don't know. Like, will cutting actually be bullish, or will it just temporarily like signal to the market, oh, that money's easier, but then underlying that is something actually broken? Is that why they're cutting, right? Like that's kind of the thought there.
Isn't that what Trump calls him? Too late, Powell.
Yeah.
I saw a good comment back here from Noah. George's going to get wrecked thinking greed will sail him. Don't know what that means, but Noah also said 4-year cycles are a thing, dumbass. And George is going to get wrecked thinking greed will sail him.
I think you meant save, maybe.
Greed will save me? That also doesn't even make sense, so does it?
Maybe he's been drinking.
How would greed save me?
I think, okay, my assumption of this comment is that he's thinking that the greed of others will save your Bitcoin bags because it's going to drive up the price of Bitcoin.
Oh, he's thinking that.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking that.
You're thinking that. Yeah. But I don't know.
There's really no way for me to get wrecked though here. That's what Noah's missing. Like, what would happen? How could I get wrecked in this scenario right now? Like, honestly, what if you're bullish and and if you, like me, think that the 4-year cycles are done, as we knew them anyways, how would you get wrecked from that? Like, it'd be different if I was leveraging half my stack or my full stack to buy more Bitcoin and thinking that it's never going to come down. But like, I'm not. I'm just stacking humbly over here. Every dollar that I have, I put into Bitcoin. I haven't taken out any debt to buy Bitcoin with my Bitcoin.
He updated it.
Oh,
You buy the top, but 80% corrections happen. You can get more at the low. You know, I really like Sailor's real counterpoint to this. Like, everybody says, oh, you got to time the market, like you got to buy low, sell high, that kind of stuff. Sailor has completely flipped that on the head by just saying, I'm going to buy the top forever. Yeah. And look at how well that's worked for that guy. His stock has outperformed since adopting Bitcoin 3 times the price of Bitcoin. And his strategy is the complete opposite of what people say to do, right? It's just, he says, I'm just going to buy the top forever. That's a total paradigm shift. And it's because it doesn't really matter in the long run. Like, if you have a long-term time horizon, you can buy the top forever because Bitcoin's just going to continue going up anyway.
So I read something about how Michael Burry made like $700 million during the Big Short.
Yeah.
Right. So Michael Saylor's Bitcoin, I don't know if to put this into perspective for everybody who's listening, Michael Saylor bought the top and he bought the bottom, and he keeps buying the top. Like a few weeks ago, I think he bought it 119K. His Bitcoin, well, not his Bitcoin, MicroStrategy's Bitcoin is up $27.63 billion. So he's like, think about how much of a big deal Michael Burry was.
How much billion?
27 billion.
Holy.
I think Michael Burry made like 700 million or something like that, which is insane, right? And this guy's been just buying the top. At some point, like, okay, so right now his Bitcoin return is 59.93%, and he's been buying the bottom, he's been buying the top. He just keeps buying no matter what. At some point, that return is going to be in the 4 digits. It's going to be 1,000% plus, because no matter how much he keeps buying, it's not like he's going to, like, over time, the amount that he buys is going to have a smaller and smaller impact on his total stack. So what that means is that he's going to keep averaging up, but the average is going to increase slower and slower. So right now, his average price of Bitcoin is 73,000 or 73. Wait, where is it? Oh, $73,248.51. So that's his average right now. Even if he keeps buying, he has to basically double his stack now to bring that up by 50% at the current price. No, to bring it up for 50%. So what that would mean is, or 25%, not even 50%. So at some point, it doesn't even matter what the price of Bitcoin is that he's paying for it, right? His profit is just going to be so big. He's going to be at 1,000% plus in profit. That's crazy. And it'll just accelerate at a point.
It's insane. It's insane. I mean, I love looking at the trading view chart of MSTR, like the earnings report. Their surprise was 33,000% to the upside, and then the stock goes down after that. And it's just like, that's so crazy. Like, that's the gain of their Bitcoin value on their books over 1 quarter.
Yeah,
it's insane what strategy has done.
It is, and it's insane how few people are thinking about it. And I shouldn't say, within our little echo chamber here, it seems like there's a lot of people talking about strategy, but like big picture in the world outside of this bubble, hardly anybody is comprehending what's happening there. And it is like you guys said, it is in scale compared to the Big Short. This is like what, 100x, which is crazy.
This is the big long.
I don't know if you guys listened to Oliver Velez. Did you see the other comment that this guy posted, Noah? 160K, then probably 40 to 20. Can you highlight that one?
Dude's got a crystal ball.
Yeah, the reason why I want to highlight that one is because I learned something from Oliver Velez. Do you guys know him? Oliver Velez?
Yep.
So he's a trader. He's been creating content for a while. He has his own community, helps people to learn. So what I've learned from him is that the average person doesn't buy more when the price of something goes up. They lose so much that they just want to do whatever they can to lock in their profits, right? So if they have all these investments, every one of their investments goes down. And what they do is they buy more of that investment because they want to dollar cost average down. They think that their view of the world is right. But then when an investment that they have goes up, This is how they think. They think 160K Bitcoin, then probably 40 to 20. So what they're going to do is, what if this guy buys at 120K, he's probably going to sell at 160K, hope to make back, like he's going to hope to make 30%. He's going to pay his taxes. Then he's going to hope to buy back at 40 to 20K. Can you guys imagine how painful it will be if that doesn't happen? I don't have an incentive to sell at 160K. I don't think you guys have an incentive to sell at 100. My incentive is to hold literally forever. I will hold for, and if I want to, I can just borrow against the Bitcoin. I can sell a little bit of, I can sell like 0.25% of my stack and do what I need to with it and all that stuff. But I think that Bitcoin's going to go up forever. I think it's going to 1 million. Then I think it's going to 10 million. Then I think it's going to go to 100 million. So if this guy thinks Bitcoin is going to 160K, and if you're listening to this and you think it's going to go to 160K, then you should sell and then see what happens. Right? And see, with interest rates going down, there's more of an incentive for people to move into Bitcoin. People have more of a reason to buy Bitcoin. And just to tie back to what we started, I guess, this topic with, there's more of an incentive for people to buy Bitcoin. So people like Noah, who think that we're going to go to 160K, then we're going to go to 20 to 40K and 26 to 27. I don't think they know what's going on. I actually think, I don't know, maybe this is a little crazy, but I think that we're never going to go back below 100K again. But I don't think we're ever going to go back. Like there's a chance of that, but I think there's even a stronger chance that we're never going to go back below 70K.
Yeah. What I think is that people try to get too clever with this. Like Bitcoin is so powerful. Bitcoin's going to suck up so much purchasing power that you just buy it and forget about it. Like I outperformed Bitcoin last year, my portfolio, but not by that much. And I was trying to be super clever. Buying strategy, switching this and that, selling covered calls, all sorts of stuff. And I barely outperformed Bitcoin. And looking at it, I'm like, I spent a lot of time and energy trying to be clever here. I could have just bought Bitcoin and forgot about it. Like, I don't know, man. You just buy Bitcoin and hold it. Like, you don't have to overthink this that much.
Can we talk about... Can we actually talk more about that? Buy Bitcoin and do nothing. You literally just do nothing. You buy Bitcoin and you just.
It's hard to do that though.
You can literally do whatever you want. It is hard. You're right.
At first it is, but I think it gets easier over time.
Yeah. That's kind of what I see playing out here. There's a lot of guys like Noah. I know a couple myself who are waiting for Bitcoin because historically, under much different circumstances, we've seen crashes before. Sometimes 70, sometimes 80, and people are expecting that to happen just because it's happened in the past before. But, when we think about Bitcoin as like 1,000-year asset and you're trying to base its future by the first 16 years, I think you're kind of out to lunch a little bit there. But what I think is going to happen is if we go back to the thesis of like, we're actually not even up from 2021 in real terms if you compare it to gold. So we probably have a decent ways to go in fiat terms this fall. August has historically been the worst performing month in Bitcoin. We just hit an all-time high in August. That's a pretty bullish signal. So I think there's a lot of people with cash on the sidelines right now who are waiting for that drop. I think they're going to be waiting a very long time. And I think that we're going to get to like 200K and people are going to say, oh shit, I missed it. Even if it drops 80% now, I'm still going to be higher than what I expected to. And they're going to FOMO into it because you have to put yourself in that scenario where different from now where we've just been kind of chopping upwards. Like the last all-time highs we hit, nobody even really cared. That's kind of where we are right now. Like we used to hit all-time highs and we throw parties and all that kind of stuff. But now it's just like, who cares? But we hit 200K, people FOMO into it because there's lots of excitement in the air and people are like, oh, okay, well, my mindset right now, and it's easy to say what you're going to do, but when you're in that emotional state, you're probably going to dump it into Bitcoin. So you're going to buy 200K. You're going to end up with half the sats you would have if you just would have bought Bitcoin today. And then for the people who are stubborn, who are like maybe Noah or somebody else in the chat, they're like, well, even if it's 250, 300, we're still going back down to 20K because that's what we did in other cycles. And then it's going to go up to 500 and then 6 and then 1 million. And then they're going to FOMO in 1 million and get 1/10 of the sats that they would have got if they just would have listened to the boys on Maple Bitcoin and buy the top forever.
The way I look at it is that there's no guarantee of a massive correction to the downside. And I think the thing that I can be almost certain of is that money debasement happens. And because of that, Bitcoin is going to benefit from it. So if I'm looking at just like what I know for certain, like the surest bet I can make is that money debasement is going to happen, and that Bitcoin is a trade against that. The
Yes.
corrections, maybe they'll happen, maybe they won't. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. Timing it is much more stressful, much more emotional of a thing than people realize. People think they can do that. They look at a chart historically and say, "Oh, there's a dip here. I'll just wait for another dip there." It's not guaranteed.
Yeah, nothing is guaranteed. And then if I just want to mention that same topic: buy Bitcoin and do nothing. Like all you have to do is buy Bitcoin and chill. Right? You can enjoy your life. You can keep creating value, keep creating as much value as you possibly can, and you'll outperform everything. You'll do better than every other investor. Like in the last few years, I haven't even tried to outperform the markets, and even if I do, I'd probably lose. So if you think about it, me ignoring my education, my CFA, and just doing what I think is best has done better than people making millions of dollars from their salary to manage people's portfolios. That's crazy, right? You can literally buy Bitcoin and do nothing. You just have to keep creating value, keep stacking more Bitcoin. You don't have to do anything else to manage your portfolio. With the legacy system, you have to earn your money twice. First, you have to earn it from working, then you have to earn it by investing it and taking a risk. And you don't have to do that with Bitcoin. That's what makes it so special. More people are going to figure that out. More people are going to see that that's the case, and they're going to want to do that too.
Yeah, I mean, anybody out there who's thinking that Bitcoin's going to go down, just ask yourself why you think that. And if the only reason is because it happened before, that's not a really valid answer.
Yeah.
You need to look at what causes crashes, what the market needs to be like, why people would be selling, how much profit people are in at that point, how high did it go before that? Like there's a lot of things. You can't just say it's going to happen again because it happened last time. Like
leverage in the system is a big one for me, but yeah.
And where do you think we're at with that right now?
I was actually just going to look that up on a heat map. I was just going to find that.
Like, I don't think it feels to me anyways, like nobody even gives a shit. We've hit like 5 all-time highs this year and like nobody cares. So to me, that would suggest that, again, going back to the gold as well, like priced in gold, we haven't even started this thing yet. So for the people thinking that it's going to come down from here, and that's my whole point of why I wanted to talk about the gold aspect of this, because for the people out there who are holding fiat, like Forrest said, we don't really know what Bitcoin's going to do. We don't know for sure. We do know for certain that whatever fiat you're holding today is going to be worth less tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you're waiting for a crash in Bitcoin, the only way that I could kind of somewhat justify doing that is if you're actually holding that amount in gold and not fiat. Like the people with dry powder right now, they call it, sitting in fiat, you're losing. Regardless, you're losing every single day. So for the people who are like thinking about going in on Bitcoin and like making a big play, at least hold it in something that's going to actually retain its purchasing power against fiat, like gold.
Yeah, if you buy Bitcoin, I think I agree with what Noah was saying at one point there. He was saying how saying that if it goes above 100K, then you attract a lot of newcomers, and that makes sense. It does attract a lot of newcomers, but you also have to understand that the number of people who are willing to sell under those certain prices, maybe it will go under 100K. I'm not saying it won't. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I don't know if it will. Maybe it will, but eventually the people who are willing to sell below 100K are going to run out. The people who are willing to give away their Bitcoin at that price under 6 figures, they're going to run out. They're not going to last forever. And once they sell, they're gone. Right? Like if you think about, for example, Germany, when they sold 50,000 Bitcoin, they can't sell that Bitcoin again. They sold it once and now it's gone. They can't do it twice. They can't do it 3 times. On the other hand, with fiat, so for example, when you have a stock like GameStop, companies were naked shorting that stock. So they were creating shares out of thin air and they were selling them into the market. That's what led to that massive squeeze. Yeah. Right? Because they shorted shares that didn't exist, and then they had to buy back shares that again didn't exist. So it created that upward spiral. With Bitcoin, you can't do that. If you short Bitcoin, you have to buy it back. You can't short Bitcoin. I mean, you can probably create it with futures markets. You can create synthetic Bitcoin and all that. But having actual Bitcoin is completely separate. And if people want to take self-custody of their Bitcoin, they're only going to buy self-custody Bitcoin. With GME, you can't take self-custody. So I think that's partly what kind of killed the rally for GameStop. It could have gone a lot higher. I think Bitcoin is, well, GameStop was a much weaker and smaller version of this. But I think Bitcoin is like that GameStop 2.0. And it's going to get to those prices where the wealthiest people in the world can't get Bitcoin, and they're going to do whatever they can to buy Bitcoin from you, and they're going to give you every house they can. They're going to throw everything they can at you. They're going to throw cars at you. They're going to throw houses. They're going to throw groceries at you. They're going to do whatever they can to accumulate your Bitcoin. And that's how you see the price go up. The US dollar price is a distraction. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. All you have to focus on is what you can buy with your Bitcoin. And over time, the amount of things that you can buy with your Bitcoin is always going to go up. It doesn't matter what you have. Again, buy Bitcoin and do nothing. Buy Bitcoin and feel stupid for 4 years. And then after that, you're going to feel like a genius. Just buy Bitcoin and chill. That's it.
That's it.
Pretty simple.
As simple as that.
So here's that chart I was talking about, just so everybody kind of has a visualization of it here. So you can see back in 2021, essentially what this chart shows is like, this is how many gold ounces it takes to buy one Bitcoin. That's my understanding of it anyway. So back in 2021, 36, you could have taken 36 ounces of gold to buy one Bitcoin. This is 2021. So you had 36 ounces of gold in your basement. You take it in, you exchange it, you get one Bitcoin. Where we are today, 35. So we're actually down from 2021 in real terms, which is insane.
Gold's been on an absolute tear for that to happen.
Yeah.
Do you guys
like,
want to
that's
talk about
incredible.
why that's happening? Like why is this happening? Why do we compare Bitcoin to gold?
Because it's something that can be debased. It can be, you can't print gold. So it's like the most accurate thing to measure. If you're looking at like the true value of houses are actually down compared to gold through the years too. Gold is the historical store of value where, again, if you had excess funds, you put it into gold because you actually wanted to maintain its purchasing power. And so to me, back in 2021, if we thought about the fiat price of Bitcoin, it was like $60,000. 4 years later, we're double. But in gold terms, it hasn't moved, which means that the only reason why Bitcoin went from $60,000 to $120,000 is because they printed so much money. So it doesn't factor in how much demand we have in Bitcoin now and how much the network has grown since then.
If you're a foreign entity like a central bank, say of China, and you're to hold a bunch of US dollars, the value of those US dollars or bonds or anything can be stolen from you by the central bank of the US. Like that's an asset that, like, when they print more of it, that's the value of what you're holding being stolen from you. That can also happen with real estate too, to some degree. If regulations change, if building happens, if interest rates change, it incentivizes more builders and more mortgages, and it can change. All these dynamics can change. So like gold, it's very difficult to affect the stock to flow ratio of gold. Even if a lot of new gold discovery happens or price goes up, because there's so much stock of gold, it's really hard to debase it or steal the value of it from the creation of more of it. So that's why somebody would want to hold it, is because nobody can, without a real cost of production, steal the value from it. So I think just speculating here, looking at gold's relative value compared to Bitcoin, you can see that nations around the world understand what is happening with the US dollar. They understand that holding T-bills is not smart for them. So they are allowing the ones they have to roll off. Like China has been doing this for a long time, and they have been buying gold because it's historically held its value. It's hard to debase, and it's easy to understand because of all the historical context of it. Maybe they have some allocation to Bitcoin that we don't know about, but it's not in a significant amount compared to their gold holdings and their gold acquisition over time. And to me, that is why gold is going up relative, and staying steady with the price of Bitcoin, even with Bitcoin ripping too.
More people understand gold.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't print it. I think that's the key, right?
Yeah.
You can't print it. Yeah, I feel like this is so important. I think this is what made the Bitcoin standard so special. The first like 7 or 8 chapters had nothing to do with Bitcoin. So that shows you that we've been coming to this conclusion where we're still comparing Bitcoin to gold. We've been coming to this point for thousands of years. Right? Bitcoin wasn't an accident. What led us to this? It's thousands of years of innovation, of people thinking and people trying to solve the problem of storing value for the future. It's not like it's random. We didn't just stumble upon it randomly. It was intentional. It was something that we needed.
Great point.
And this is something that everybody can access. Every single person on earth can access it. So this isn't something that I wouldn't say that I would say that we're still very early. Because 1% of the world figured it out. What percent of the world do you guys think has figured it out?
That's what I want to ask you, because what I was just about to say there was I was listening to a guy, I forget what it was on, maybe just a YouTube clip or Instagram, maybe even, but his thesis was try to find a solution for a problem that 1 billion people have. If you can find a solution to a problem that 1 billion people have, you're going to do very well. But I was like, well, what if you found a solution to a problem that 8 billion people have? Because every single person on this planet, they have energy to store. And the only place that they can store that currently is their fiat currency. It could be the US, it could be the UK, it could be Canada, it could be anywhere. Every single person on this planet has a government that has the ability to print money. So Bitcoin is a solution to a problem that 8 billion people have, which is a pretty big thing. So it's like where my mind went there was like, if there was a company that had a product or a service that solved a problem for 8 billion people, would you want to invest in it? Probably. And by owning Satoshis, you can literally invest in the solution that 8 billion people have as a problem. It's kind of a cool way to think about it.
It's a massive problem. Like I just thought of this. Like I remember prior to like investing in Bitcoin, having like a Costco membership and being like, my return on investment of buying this food in bulk is better than I can make like investing.
Yeah.
And I can actually store my value, like my money, in getting a discount on this food that I'm going to eat, as opposed to going and paying a premium for it at a local store. Like I was literally thinking of storing value in food goods.
I think
So
it's
have I,
actually
man.
I think that's kind of crazy, because I was thinking about, like, if you go to Costco, they have this massive bag of chocolate chips. It's like 1.6 kilograms or something like that. At one point, it was $16, $16.99. At the time, I thought it was expensive. Now, it's $36.99.
Wow.
So holding bags of chocolate chips would have been a better investment than the S&P 500.
A better store of value.
There's
That's
like
crazy.
the
Better
Big
store of
Mac.
value, exactly.
The Big Mac index is a good example of that too. Like holding or the cost of Big Macs has gone up more than the value of the S&P 500.
Wow.
So you could have just hold Big Macs.
And they don't go bad, so you'd actually be able to sell them at some point too.
Yeah. And
They don't go bad.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, like, we're talking about this and it's like you're kind of making light of it because these things are perishable, or well, maybe not Big Macs, but people really think about this in this way. Like they might store their value in like a live cow, because they can transport it over time. They can keep the cow alive. They might even have yield on it. If it's a female, they can get some milk, right? And at the end of the day, they can butcher it and sell that meat, and that meat's going to raise in value over time compared to their local currency. So, like, if you have to be thinking of a store of value in like something like a cow, or like grains or bags of grain or something, like, that's a serious problem. Like, store of value is such a massive problem. And I love that how you framed it, Jor. Like, this is a problem that 8 billion people in the world have, and Bitcoin is a solution to this problem. And this makes me think of like crypto. Everybody think, oh, what do you think about Sol? What do you think about this and that? It's like, what is the problem that these are solving?
Mm-hmm.
They're not, like, I can't conceptualize the problem that these are solving. And even if I can, it's the problem that it's solving is the market cap of it, the importance of it is so minimal compared to what Bitcoin is solving for, which is a store of value.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
And I guess it goes back to that chart that Jor was sharing there, right? You can't print gold. You can't print the things that we need. You can't print cars. You can build them. You can put in the time, energy, and effort, the resources, the raw materials, but you can't just print them. Unlike the thing that we use to value literally everything. That's broken. Like that's a crazy system. The fact that the money is losing value while everything. So I think that was something that I think that was something that Jeff Booth might have said. He said, when money is abundant, everything else becomes scarce.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. That was like his. That's like the thing that he said with in the book that he wrote. What's it called? The Price of Tomorrow. That's basically what he wrote, right? When money becomes abundant, then everything else becomes scarce because people start chasing producing more money because they know that they don't have to work. They can just create more money and they can just go to a bank and they can borrow money for a mortgage or a personal line of credit and they barely have to pay any interest. So instead of working for money, why wouldn't they just have more of it printed for them? And that's what creates this massive wealth gap that we have today. That's what just leads to a lot of problems.
And the opposite is true too. When money is scarce, the goods become abundant.
Yeah. Can we answer some of these?
Super chats?
Yeah,
Let's
super
do
chats.
it.
We got a couple of them.
I kind of just want to talk through that because I think that that's such an important thing for people to wrap their head around. Is when the money is abundant, everything else is scarce.
Yeah.
And when the money's scarce, everything else is abundant. Like I kind of get the first part of that in the sense of when you have a currency that you can print to infinity, everything else becomes scarce because everybody's bidding it up, and only the people who have the resources are able to pay the high price for it. And it's usually the ones who are extracting from society, the politicians, the people who are closest to the money printer. They benefit the most from that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've thought about both sides before, but just I think it's worth talking about for the audience here because it was something that I had to think about 10 times before it kind of clicked for me. So on the flip side of that, why does a scarce money provide abundance to the world?
It's because
people have I was going to say
Go
because
ahead.
people have an incentive to actually create. Right, we have an incentive because, like, if we'd been getting paid in fiat, we're getting paid in fiat, of course, but we're buying Bitcoin with it. If we didn't have a way to save for the future, why would we produce content? Right, but now that we have a store of value, a better way to save for the future, we have an incentive to keep creating more and more content, and that's because the money that we're thinking of the world in is scarce. Over time, we're able to get less of that money, but that the money that we've saved already, it has more purchasing power. So the way that I see it, if you can get paid in real money, then you have an incentive to produce, and over time you're going to see people like today. Think about how many resources are going towards creating more money. Think about how many people are working at banks.
Yeah.
I used to work at a bank, right? Think about it, if we didn't have fake money, we wouldn't have this channel today.
Yeah.
How many our resources, our time is being used to help people to understand this. And if we didn't have fake money to begin with, what would we be doing instead? Would we be building houses? Would we be farmers? Would we be doing something where we're actually creating some kind of product that humanity has to use? But instead, we have to waste our time and our resources. Not even waste, but we're using our time and resources to teach people about how money works. This shouldn't be how the world works. Like even today, we have one person who made one announcement. He said a couple of words, and now the entire world is just going crazy for assets. The stock market is up like 1.5%. Bitcoin is up like 5%. How is that? How does that even make any sense? How is that a free market, right? So when we have money that's abundant, people chase that money, and instead of creating products and services and goods, they work to create more money and they put their education towards creating more money. And that's exactly what we're seeing today.
Yeah, and it's really the way I would sum it up too is that when you've acquired the asset of money that is scarce, it's going to gain in purchasing power, and therefore everything else that you would purchase with it becomes more abundant because you can acquire more of it with less. It's just the raising of purchasing power. Whereas again, with the opposite, when you acquire money, US dollars that go down in value, every day you're able to get less things with that same amount of nominal dollars. So you're getting less abundance with the value of your dollars. It can just be looked at as simply as that as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the argument that Jeff Booth has, is that the natural state of the market is deflationary, which means that you could actually have 1 million sats in 2030. You might have 1 million sats and you might be able to buy X with that 1 million sats. But if you just wait 5 years, even if you don't work, even if you don't add to that balance, your purchasing power will actually go up over that. So you'll be able to buy more things because there's only so many units that can measure everything else. So
Exactly.
everything has to fall in prices. The only reason why everything goes up in price right now is because the system is manipulated. And the people who aren't actually adding value to the world have the ability to extract value from the people who are.
100%.
And so with Bitcoin, you cannot do that. It doesn't matter how close you are to, there's no Bitcoin printer. So it's whatever you've built up, whatever value you've accumulated or you've added to the world and stored. If you're storing it in Bitcoin, you're going to be able to buy more and more and more as time goes on. Whereas if you're storing that in fiat, that same amount is going to buy you less and less and less.
There's a type of people, a business, an entire system that is extractive of value, and we all have to pay for that extraction that happens because they are not providing any value.
Right.
They're just extracting it.
There's a small group of
money.
people that's just able to do whatever they want. Like they can buy yachts, they can buy multiple houses, they can buy vacation houses, while certain people can't even buy a single house to live in. Like they can't even buy food. Exactly. They can't even get water. While there's one group of people who can just create more money. That doesn't really make any sense. So somebody said in the comments, Bitcoin will bring back long time preference, quality, and true craftsmanship. So what that means is what we're going to have is more things that last, more things that we actually enjoy. Like instead of having cars that crumple as soon as they hit something, we're going to have cars that actually last like 30 years. And the incentive here is with better money, you can charge the money up front and you know that the value of that money isn't going to decrease and you don't need to earn cash flows over time. Like, did you guys see that Volvo started a subscription service to reach full speed on their cars?
No way.
Right. I
Crazy.
find that so crazy. See, that's the kind of stuff that like that's actually with real money, you get abundance. You get abundance of speed, right? You get abundance of what you actually want the car for. If the car can only max out at like 120 and you have fake money, that fake money is the result. That 120 maximum speed is a result of fake money.
There's already a subscription cost to speeding. It's called a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
crazy though.
That's so funny. Wow.
Okay, so King says, guys, these tangents are great, and I know we're just chatting. I guess I'm getting impatient. Yeah, it's okay. We'll get there. I do want to say a couple of things here though first, because we are on Zapstream right now on the Noster live stream. We got Average Gary over there. Said, hello, nerds. Strategies claim Bitcoin that their custodians hold. Yes, it's important to clarify that. But shout out to Average Gary. I saw him doing a presentation to his municipal board about Bitcoin, about buying or starting a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So I don't know if Average Gary's still over there or not, but shout out to Average Gary. And we got a couple of zaps here, boys. We got 111 sats anonymous. We got 21 sats. Says, thanks, guys. You are awesome. And we got a 2,500 sat zap from our guy, Ian. So that QR code beside Rajat's head there that he's pointing at, that's where you can send if you want to support our channel here. It is our promise to you that we will never have sponsors on the show. And so this is how we fund things. We got a little bit of AdSense from YouTube. We got our school community, and we have our Bitcoin reserve, which is the most important to us. So thank you to those who have donated. But yeah, let's get to the super chats. You can also send a super chat with a zap. If you want to leave a comment with a zap, it's the equivalent to that. So let's go with the first one here, which was from That Crypto Guy, who says, what are the odds the U.S. government 1933 strategy and confiscates their Bitcoin? How else will they fill their Bitcoin reserves without running up the price?
Yeah, I'll take this first. so the odds of anything exist, right? There's always a probabilistic answer for everything. So the odds are not zero of this, but they're very low, and there would have to be sort of like a series of events for this to happen. So and there would be consequences to this. If there was like sort of a hostile takeover from the government, then they've ruined trust in the markets, and everything else would suffer, and the markets are incredibly important to the US government. So I see that as being unlikely. What could happen is say MSTR makes a bunch of really bad decisions and they become really distressed, they trade at a really low multiple, and the US government says, hey, we actually want to nationalize you, and we'll put you in our sovereign wealth fund. We'll have your Bitcoin as our Bitcoin reserve instead of buying Bitcoin on the open market. There could be a sort of a shareholder fiduciary duty to say, if you pay us a premium for our company, then it might make sense to do this. That could actually happen, but again, there would be a series of events that would lead to that. I don't think, but you know, if there was a crazy offer that's way above share price, then again, the board has to evaluate whether that's reasonable or not. But yeah, I just don't see that. I don't see that happening, but that would be the case. That would be sort of like the environment that it would play out in.
I think there's a little bit of an issue with this question. So they said, how else will they fill their BTC reserves without running up the price? You have to understand that the US government has an unlimited, they have a blank check, but they have no limit to how much money they can. So they don't care what the price goes to. They will buy once people figure it out, they're going to understand that if Bitcoin is being sold for dollars, you're still early. So to them, it doesn't matter if Bitcoin goes to 1 million, it goes to 10 million, it goes to 100 million. They don't care as long as they get Bitcoin, right? So I don't think that they're going to 1933. So what this means is they're going to 6102. I think that's what they mean. The 6102, the Bitcoin. I don't think they're going to do that, because what that'll do is it'll destroy US capital markets. The US capital markets are what allow the US to export so much inflation. If the US capital markets are destroyed, that would probably mean that the dollar's value is going to crumble down to as close to zero as possible. People are not going to trust it anymore. People are not going to want to hold it, and that'll just accelerate the loss of the US dollar's status as world reserve currency. So I don't think that's going to happen. Number one. And number two, they don't care about the price. The price doesn't matter to them. The price can keep going up forever, and they'll keep buying because they can just print more dollars. We're not in the same position as them. To us, it will matter because we won't be able to accumulate as much anymore. But at that point, they'll be our exit liquidity. If we need to buy something, we can sell it. We can sell them some Bitcoin, and maybe they'll give us an incentive to give it to them. As in, I think what one of you guys mentioned before, if they don't tax us on the Bitcoin that we give to them, then that's an incentive for us to give some Bitcoin to them. So they don't really care about the dollar price.
I kind of slightly like, I don't know if you're saying like that's going to happen or not, but I kind of think that if they were to just start printing dollars to buy Bitcoin in whatever way, like whether it's roundabout or not, it's really going to erode the value proposition of the dollar. And
100%.
I don't see the government doing that. Like you kind of mentioned, like they can do that. They can sort of have a blank check, but if they were to start doing that and buy an asset that directly competes with the dollar, as much as the politicians say that it doesn't, it does, because it's a new monetary network. I kind of see that as like very self-destructive to their dollar, their power of the dollar, right? So I don't personally see them doing that in any meaningful way. Like I actually don't see them buying Bitcoin in any meaningful way. I think they'll continue to just steal it from people, whether those people are criminals or not. And maybe they'll have some sort of tax incentive, like, you know, you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin or something. But I think that they have to be very careful up until a point. Like maybe there's a point in the future where they do exactly what you say, and they're just admitting, okay, the dollar's done, or we're going to destroy the dollar. We're getting on Bitcoin. A bunch of other countries have already adopted it. It's our time now. We have no other choice, because I think that's sort of the future that plays out, is there's no other choice for them at a certain point. But until that, they're going to like really not really buy Bitcoin. That's kind of my thought around it, at least.
I agree with that 100%. And I think, Forrest, you said they're going to confiscate and something else. And I think the component that we're missing here possibly is I think they're going to start mining Bitcoin. I think that that's going to be their their route to accumulating Bitcoin, because what makes more sense, like Forrest said there, if they were to dump a bunch of their currency into Bitcoin, that's essentially them signaling that, hey, our dollar's worthless. We're holding Bitcoin instead of dollars. And that's going to be a huge signal to the world that US dollars aren't. I think it's going to be the end of it. As soon as they take their dollars and buy Bitcoin, that's the end of the dollar as we know it. It might take a couple weeks, months, years for that to play out, but that's their official white flag, right? But I think if they're smart about it, and I think that they are, the countries are going to start using their natural resources to mine Bitcoin. And with that, they're actually going to be able to reduce state taxes, income taxes, property taxes. When they have consistent flow of sats coming in through Bitcoin mining, because you have to keep in mind here, the main asset that these countries have is natural resources, right? Like, yes, they have some gold. Yes, they have some buildings and stuff like that. But the majority of their natural resources, like the Grand Canyon and the mountains, it's all locked up for a good reason, because that's the assets that are the most real that they have. They might have a bunch of treasuries. They might have a bunch of other countries' treasuries. But the one thing that they have is natural resources. And I think that they're going to start converting that natural energy. They're going to start partnering with different companies and firms and say, hey, you can use our land. You go mine some Bitcoin and we get 10% of it. You can keep the rest. You can lease it for free. You don't have to pay. You just pay us 10% of all the sats. Imagine that. Doesn't that seem like a much better strategy for accumulating Bitcoin than going out and smash buying and basically claiming defeat?
And I think it also is much less of a signal of the dollar's broken. And I think you're right. It's more of like, hey, we're utilizing these resources in a way that's very profitable for us as a business. It can be like signaling is so important for politics, right? Like they always want to say, like, even with the tariff stuff, it's like, look at these billions of dollars we're bringing in. It's like, okay, where are those coming from? You know, is it the people? Is it the business? Like, right? You know, it's like, it's all about signaling strength. And I think they could signal strength from mining. I think actually that's a really good point, Jor.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I wasn't even saying that they're going to do that. I was just saying that if it goes up, it doesn't matter to them.
Right. Yeah. And I think you are right about that too. It's just, again, will they? How will they?
That's the
right.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, next one here from Nav, our guy. $2 says, can I run a temporary node to move around sats?
I guess it depends what you mean by a temporary node. Like, yeah, I guess you could, right? Like I'd say there's sort of better and worse nodes in my opinion. Like if you're running a node just on your computer and connecting it to Sparrow through like the Bitcoin Core tab, instead of running like an Electrum server over Tor, you're opening yourself up to like identifying your IP address and stuff by doing that. Preferably, you know, run your own Start9 or Umbrel that's protected by Tor. Run an Electrum server on there, connect it to Sparrow. That would be better. To move around sats, you could just use somebody else's node. That's what the vast majority of people do. And then you can work on getting a proper node running. That's what I would personally do.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to ask why you want it to be temporary. Like, it's not too much work to just set up your own node. So I feel like you'd be putting just as much work into setting up a temporary node as an actual node, right?
Mm-hmm.
King says, happy Friday, guys. While I love the positive sentiment and I just bought more sats since tuning in. However, there's been drama going on with Bitcoin Core and that could threaten the network. Thoughts?
It seems to me that whenever there's more drama around Bitcoin Core and knots, Bitcoin's price rips up. Like whenever there's anything going on about that, we like hit all-time highs, it feels like, which is really interesting because in a way it does sort of threaten the longevity of Bitcoin. But the infighting in my mind is actually really positive because it shows that we're not completely taken over by one entity. The ability to, again, Bitcoin is open source, and a lot of the people on the core team have said, oh, you can just fork our software if you don't like what we're doing. And that's exactly what's happened with knots. That's a fork of Bitcoin Core. That's 98% Bitcoin Core with extra configurability put onto it. And it's now 17% of the network. People have said, hey, we don't like what you're doing. We're going to run a fork of Bitcoin Core. It's what we're going to do. So to me, that's real positive. Like if you have too much agreement within a community like this, that's a point of centralization. And to me, the biggest problems with core that is going on, the changes, are arguable. You can decide, okay, well, this is good for this and this is bad for that, whatever. The biggest problem with me with what Bitcoin Core has done is just how quickly they've made these changes and how much agreement they've had within the maintainers and core developers of the GitHub. So that's the biggest problem to me. And I think that we need decentralization with implementations, Bitcoin knots being one, so that people can decide what they want and how they want to view their mempool. That's what I see there.
I think one of the keys that I've heard Matthew Crater make, and one of the key points that I've heard him make, and one of the key points that I heard Bitcoin Mechanic make about this. And keep in mind that I'm not technical. I'm not going to say to you that I know something that I don't. I don't know all of the details on this. So I think one of the key points that I've heard them make is that if you want Bitcoin to only be money, then you don't want it to have other use cases. And I think what that does is it makes it more powerful as money. So it makes it even better money. Just if you're only focused on using it as money, people will look for problems that come with using Bitcoin as money. People will look at solutions to use it as money. Let's say, for example, if transaction fees get too high and people are using Bitcoin as money, we'll work more on layer 2s and layer 3s and layer 4s on top of that, right? But if we start using it for other random BS, then we're never going to start focusing on those use cases. So I think that this debate between Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Knots is, I would say it's talking about that a little, right? Because if you focus on using Bitcoin only as money, then it'll just get better and better as money, and it'll be more widely used, and it'll be known as money rather than some spam database.
Yeah, and the spam databases, like those already exist, right? Like, as much as Bitcoin maxis hate ETH and stuff, I think ETH is great because that's a playground for all these dumbasses to play around and do NFTs and DeFi and all this garbage that's shouldn't be done on a protocol that is only for money, right? Bitcoin should be kept extremely simple, and with that simplicity, it is extremely secure. And because of that, you can trust that you can hold your value in it. Whereas something like ETH changes all the time to facilitate more and more spam, but they just don't see it as spam. They just see it as a use case. Yeah, I mean, it's all sort of at the end of the day, it is a little bit like in the eye of the beholder, like with what is spam on Bitcoin. And people can argue like filters are a type of censorship, which I disagree with. I just think it makes it more difficult to do certain things that aren't universally agreed upon as financial transactions. And because of that difficulty, it makes the incentive not there to add in arbitrary data. But there's no actual consensus layer change that makes it so that you can't do certain types of transactions. It just makes it more difficult with filters. So that argument is invalid to me. But yeah, I don't know. I think the discussion is good. I think it's important for people to realize that, like, I don't think this is like a make or break. There's a lot of people that say like this is a make or break. I think this will implement a lot of change. Maybe the core developers have too much power. Maybe that's true. And I think by switching to different implementations and saying, we don't like what you're doing, not adopting the new version of core when it comes out in September, I think all of this is signal to say the core devs need a little bit of a shakeup. Maybe that's the case.
There's a really great comment there from Program Scarcity, but it doesn't really matter. It's good to have some knots out there in case core really does do something insane. I think that's the point, right? That's exactly what's happening here. We don't know what they'll do in the future if they do something like this. Like I said, I don't completely understand. I don't understand it in depth. I don't understand the coding side of things. But what I do understand is that if we have people who are changing Bitcoin and they're implementing policies that most people don't like, then what else are they going to do in the future? If they know that we're okay with just doing and following whatever they tell us to follow, then what else are they going to do? Who could be compromised within Bitcoin Core that's basically getting paid to change the code in this way? And I'm not saying that they are, but I'm saying what's the possibility of that? How could that potentially happen?
Yep. Yeah, I got a
I-
couple different points here to make. The first one I would say is just kind of piggyback on what Rajat just said there. What are the incentives? Because you have to imagine that if you understand Bitcoin to a level that you understand, it's very difficult to stop Bitcoin. It's very difficult to attack Bitcoin. This isn't something that you can just decide, make a decision, and it's going to impact Bitcoin that day. If somebody did want to derail Bitcoin and have an attack on Bitcoin, it would have to be a very long, well thought out plan that might include some of this stuff we're going through right now. I don't know. I kind of lean towards that myself. I don't trust a lot of the people who are speaking from Bitcoin Core's side, which kind of automatically puts me on the not side. The thing that I don't like about it is that I just feel like it very much reminds me of COVID. It reminds me of COVID in the sense that if you're not vaccinated, you're like this, or you should get vaccinated because this person told me it was. Like 90% of people who are talking about this stuff online have no idea what is actually going on here, just like within COVID. And I feel like there's a lot of virtue signaling happening more than like actual work being done to understand what's happening here. It's like if you're on Team Core, you're a loser. I don't want to eat supper with you. I don't want to go for drinks with you. You're a piece of shit. It's like, well, am I? I don't know. Maybe that's maybe the conclusion I came up with. I'm not saying that I did, but I'm just saying like people should be able to make their own decision with things. And that's kind of why I also lean with knots, because Core seems like they're implementing things and forcing change that doesn't really need to be changed. So that's the kind of the thing that I go with knots again there. But the only thing that I question here with the whole thing is like I see Bitcoin as a little bit more than just a monetary network. And I'm not saying that we should have spam on here or JPEGs or anything like that. But I do think that the Bitcoin blockchain is a very effective way to ensure that you put data on there, it's going to be there forever in terms of its immutability. And I don't know if there's anything else like that that could replace Bitcoin in that sense. But I know that if I wanted to send a message to the future and not have my book burned or my library burnt down or things restricted from me, I would put it on the Bitcoin network. If I wanted that to live there for the next 500 years, I would put that on the Bitcoin network. So that's why it's like spam is very subjective. I think that the main use case for Bitcoin obviously should be money. That's my view of it. But like I do think there's some sort of historical aspect in terms of storing data on an immutable ledger that could actually be useful into the future. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, and I agree with that, and that's sort of like a moderate take, but and that's the reason why Bitcoin has had op return, where you can put data like that, put text, and it has an 80 byte limit, so you can fit some within that, but you're not going to make the entire block your data that is
Right.
arbitrary or whatever, right? And it's just like that's been a filter that's been in Bitcoin Core since basically the beginning. And now they're just getting rid of it. Like, and why? Why so quickly? Why so fast? Why with so much contention from the public and other Bitcoin holders and other Bitcoin devs? And kind of going back to like the little bit of conspiracy here is like Bitcoin is so solid from like a hash rate perspective. Like doing a 51% attack is like next to impossible. Like it's basically impossible for like, and attacking it any other way, there's quantum doesn't exist yet. We can't steal Bitcoin from private keys. So where is the vulnerability? And the vulnerability is with the individuals that have some sort of control, because people are vulnerable, whether it's financially, whether it's
Blackmail,
exactly. And the thing is too is like the change to do this was was proposed by somebody who was paid to make the change. They were paid. They told everybody this company paid us to do this. And is that right? Like maybe technically it is the right change to make, but there's still this person or this company behind them paying them to do this. The same person posted a meme token thing saying they got $5,000 to post it. Like this is just an admission of I can be bought.
Is that Peter Todd?
Yes. And so like a lot of this comes down to, like, in my opinion, humans are the most vulnerable aspect of Bitcoin still.
Yes.
Which is really unfortunate, because I want to be in a financial system that isn't vulnerable in that way, right? We've been talking about Powell having the control over the interest rates and the cost of money. That's an incredibly vulnerable system, having that central person of control of how much money costs. I don't want that to happen in Bitcoin either. So, the more we can diversify that out and the more we can protect ourselves, decentralize within there as well, the better. A lot of it ends up being political with these people. A lot of it ends up being potentially have ulterior motives behind it, so it's something to be concerned about. But I don't know.
But none make or break.
Yeah.
This tweet actually showed me that some of the Bitcoin Core people are kind of it seems like they're liars. I don't know. They don't seem like they're telling.
Yeah,
the
I get
truth
that vibe
here.
too.
Like, you can see this here. You and people like you are really the greasiest people in this space. You put on a faux politeness, but constantly lie to and mislead people on a regular basis. He's talking to Tomer Strolite on this, and Tomer's. I mean, I don't think you can say that about him. He's an OG. I learned a lot from him.
I don't know why anybody pays attention and respects that Shinobi guy. He's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane, some of the stuff that he says. And he's like part of Bitcoin Magazine. Like, I don't know, man. That guy's wild.
Like, there's quite a few tweets from him that, I mean, like, even this, take a look at this. If Nazis, like the way that they say it, Nazis, right? That's crazy. That's like, what's that called? Where you attack somebody for their character rather than about the issue. That's what's happening here. They're associating people who run knots with Nazis.
Yeah.
Right. They're associating them with people who did terrible things. Right. And that's not the right way to go. I think that's horrible. That just shows you that this person is not serious. They're on the wrong side of things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, I've kind of seen a little bit from both sides, honestly, and it might not be like the leaders of both sides, but like that's going back to like the whole vaccine thing from 2020 is like, it was just too much for me. There's too many attacks. It's too misunderstood. People are just taking sides, virtue signaling, and they don't really understand like the logistics of it. And I don't really claim to myself, but I wanted to make sure that I had a good understanding before I just went off and did this or that. And so that's kind of my main thing with it, is like, it's just been too much for me.
Oh yeah, it's called ad hominem. Ad hominem. That's what it's called, ad hominem. The attack, ad hominem attack. So you're just attacking the person. Hey Jor, there's a couple of these spam posts from XAI Gen. Like, there's one called Clarita. Can you just block her? I think it's on your end.
I don't know if I have the ability. No, I think it's on Forest.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah, just get rid of these people.
Well,
there's a few of them.
Okay.
Well, we block the spammers. Let's bring this up. Because in 12 minutes from now, we're moving over to the Maple Bitcoin happy hour. And we've been having new members joining every Friday, joining us for their happy hour. It's kind of cool. It's like an interactive one-on-one, except with Rajat, Forrest, and myself, and about 30, 40 other Bitcoiners from around the world. So people turn their video on, their audio on, they ask questions, we chat about things. It's been a very enjoyable experience for me. I've been having a lot of fun with it. And if you happen to miss it, you can always watch the recorded version on our school. So this is a big part of our channel here. The big focus on what we're doing right now is our school community. We're trying to add as much value as possible to this for the community, which includes the happy hour and these exclusive Maple Bitcoin masterclass sessions, which we're adding to every single week in terms of how to buy Bitcoin, how to manage your private keys, what is Bitcoin, part 1, 2, 3, 4 coming soon, using your Bitcoin as collateral, and much more coming.
Nav also has a super chat here that we can address right here as well. He says, Forrest, teach Jor how easy it is to do covered calls on MSTR or any stock for that matter. It's easy, little lunch money, and pretty passive. Jory, if you click the last masterclass there, that's a masterclass that I made on how to sell covered calls on MSTR. So I'm not going to teach you how to do that, Jor, today. But if you did want to learn, that's a full masterclass on how to earn income off of your MSTR. And I go over all of the challenges of doing a covered call strategy, all the potential risks, and what you could earn doing that on MSTR in that video. And that's available only for members of my channel personally, Bitcoin Not Crypto, or if you join the Maple Bitcoin School. So another shout out to Maple Bitcoin School there.
So yes, we will share the link. Probably the best, what we usually advise to people is like, just sign up. You can actually do 7 days for free without any cost. You can stop by for the happy hour session today. You got anything on your mind, any questions you want to ask, anything, you can stop by. And then if you feel like canceling it, you can. That's the nice thing about free trials is you can test it out. If you don't like it, you can leave. But not many do. Our conversion rate here, the people who have left have been pretty far and few between there. So it's been pretty solid. Sorry, I'm cutting you off here, Forrest, with the comment and the oops, got half of Forrest's face there. So yeah, that's you can join there. Did you guys throw the link in the chat there for people?
Yep.
Okay. So we'd love to have you. It's a very active community. It's growing every single week, and we're going to continue adding value to the point where it just won't even make sense for you to not be a member financially.
It's already there, man. There's so much value there. It's crazy.
It is. We kind of had this idea that we're going to go from $21 a month to $42 to $84 and keep doubling it. But we want to be reasonable with people. So we think it's a really, really good deal still to, I think it's $25 a month, 27 maybe. And you also have the option to pay for a lifetime membership in sats. So if you don't want to put in your credit card information, you can actually pay for a full membership. It's 1 year worth of fees. So you can do the math in your head. And yeah, so that's starting in 9 minutes from now.
Perfect. We got one more super chat here we should get to. Well,
from Crab 420, nice. Says TGIF, y'all coming to Montreal for the conference next month. I think Rajat is, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Are you speaking there, Rajat, or just going?
Sorry, what was that?
Are you speaking there or just going?
I think I'm speaking.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's gonna be fun.
What's the conference called? I might check that out actually.
It's the Canadian Bitcoin Conference.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think it's probably the biggest one in Canada. The one I went to last weekend was pretty big too, actually. But
yeah. Learning Bitcoin. Looked like a lot of fun. I started this one from Dirk fan number 7, George Testy today. I kind of am. I've been kind of testy all week. I don't know why. I think it's the weather. We're turning from summer to fall. Too many dipshits tell me that we're heading towards a bear market and that I need to run knots and core or whatever it is. And I'm tired of it. I just want to unplug for a while because it gets to you for sure. And you guys would understand this, but I don't think people in the chat would understand how many people you got coming at you from all different angles, every hour of the day.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm testy.
Yeah.
But anyways, wow, that flew by, boys. Is there anything we didn't cover that you wanted to get to? I probably missed a lot of good questions here, but we were kind of wrapped up in it today.
Yeah. Oh, the thing that we were mentioning before. So if you guys have any, I think we should have mentioned this earlier. But if you guys have any clips that you want us to post in the channel, give us a time. Give us just a time range, and we're going to clip it and we'll post it on the channel if we think it would be useful. Yeah.
So what I would say to that is like, so let's say you watched the full hour and 20 minutes today, and you decided that like from 5 minutes till 8 minutes was like a really good clip that resonated. Maybe, you felt it a little bit differently. Cause when I'm watching videos, whether it's live or recorded, there's usually some clips where I can feel it, you resonate with it really, really well. So if you have a clip like that, we're going to share it. And if we end up sharing yours, we're going to send you some sats too from our Maple Bitcoin Reserve Fund. So we don't know. It'll probably be subjective. It's a really good clip. It does really well. Maybe we'll give you a little bit more of a return on that one. But that's what we're asking. If you want some non-KYC sats, you're already watching the shows, leave a comment under the show with like your clip, so let's say 5 minutes and 3 seconds to 10 minutes and 50 seconds. And if we end up using it, we'll reach out. We'll try to get your lightning address and we'll send you some sats for your trouble. So we want to get more clips on the channel. We want to keep growing the Maple Bitcoin YouTube channel and, of course, the school, which somebody just joined. And it's a big part of it. So that's what we're asking the community here. We'll pay you for it. On that note, Dogface Pony Soldier 87 says, talk about wallets and security more. It's so confusing. So what I would say to that is actually members of the Maple Bitcoin community, you actually get the master classes, you get the live sessions, happy hours, but we also have courses that we put in here. So this 21-day course that I've been putting together here, it has information on all this stuff, on security, on wallets, starter wallets, the time chain, buying Bitcoin, cheat sheet for like best practices, UTXOs, transaction fees. And there's going to be 21 episodes in there, which is all included in the course. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time on these lives to get through everything here, but we've talked about it a couple times, but that's a good way to ensure that you can get some good information about wallets and security.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's also a tutorial series that I did with the Bitbox of how to actually do cold storage Bitcoin. It's on there somewhere as well. Yeah, there is cold storage custody guide. And it's basically universal across these devices, especially non-air gapped ones. It's going to be very similar to the Bitbox tutorial I did here.
So yes, you get all that. You get the community. You get a nice group of people who have your back, which I think is going to be incredibly important in the next decade. You're building trust, reputation with others, which is also going to be very important. And you get happy hour for an hour and a half, as long as the questions go every Friday with us. And of course, the exclusive content that's only available on the Maple School. So pretty badass, pretty good investment. Consider it an investment, not an expense coming off your credit card. Or if you'd rather pay in sats, we're more than happy to do little under the table deals, you know? Keep it away from Carney.
Awesome. All right. I think that's it about it for today, no?
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Here's the last one from Prince Kumar. Says, Rajat, any suggestions for countries where people could only buy from exchanges and no way to move it to cold storage?
Probably peer-to-peer or Bitcoin ATMs. Like if you were to go, let's say, for example, I think India is one of these countries. So let's say if you were to go to another country, let's say you were to travel to another country, you could find some way to use their their ATMs. You could find some way to do peer-to-peer. Like there's this website called HODL, HODL. You can go on there and you can find people you could probably find people in your area who are selling Bitcoin for cash.
So this is RoboSats on my my own node here, but you can look. So yeah, I don't know what country you are. Let's see, why is it not loading? Oh, there we go. So these are buyers, sellers, and what you can pay in, different types of methods. So if you go to Canada, you can use Interact e-transfer to buy or sell Bitcoin peer-to-peer. This is not an exchange. This is open source. You can download this. No one can control this from you. Yeah, this is a way to buy Bitcoin, and it's over the Lightning Network as well, which adds an increased layer of privacy as well.
Yep, non-KYC Bitcoin. That's what everybody's after, and you can get that for clipping some of your highlights from the show today. You can get some of your own non-KYC Bitcoin from the boys. One more here, I would say this is for anybody in different countries. You can use a website called bitcoin.org. And if you go to resources and then exchanges, you can actually see some peer-to-peer ones. You can find what country or continent you're in, and you can look for the ones that are Bitcoin only. I think there's a few on here somewhere. Bitcoin Well, Bull Bitcoin, River, Swan, Bitcoin only. And so you can find some peer-to-peer stuff on there as well for exchanging.
Nice. All right, we should wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap her up. Somebody sent in some more sats. We got 18 and then 45 and then 18 and then 45. I'm thinking that's an ode to Texas for 1845. Maybe Sin Diesel, who knows? But anyways, thank you. We got 1,800 sats anonymously, 1137 anonymously, and 2,100 sats anonymously. So God bless you all for supporting the channel. Thanks for being part of the fun today. Hopefully you join us for part 2 over on the happy hour. But other than that, boys, it's Friday. Enjoy yourselves. Any final words?
That's it.
No, I think we're good. Buy Bitcoin.
There it is. All right. Thanks, everybody. Join us over on Happy Hour. We're starting in 1 minute. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.